in YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I hope we can start. So, hello everyone, and um, welcome to today's Azerbaijan Data and AI Meetup session. My name is Ilgar Zarbaliev, and I'm very happy to host today's event. Thank you all for joining us from different locations. Today's meetup is focused on a very important topic for modern data professionals: how to use AI to improve your LinkedIn visibility and build your professional brand online. Our speaker, Anna Leticia Sampaio, will share practical strategies and real workflows that helped her grow a strong LinkedIn presence while continuing full-time professional work. Whether you are working with Power BI, Microsoft Fabric, SQL, Excel, or AI technologies, visibility matters today more than ever. And this session will help you understand how AI can support your content creation process and professional growth. So let's get just started. Okay, so let me, a minute. And in today's session, our speaker will walk us through the exact workflow she used to grow her LinkedIn audience to more than 600 followers and successfully run for Power BI PL3, 300 bootcamps. So what makes this especially interesting is that all of this was achieved while working full-time and managing personal responsibilities. Many technical professionals struggle with LinkedIn visibility because creating content consistently can be difficult and time consuming. And I hope our speaker will demonstrate how AI tools can help simplify that process while still keeping content authentic and valuable. Okay, it's now my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, um, Anna Leticia Sampaio. Anna is a Microsoft certified trainer and a dedicated Power BI educator who focuses on helping busy professionals prepare for the PL 300 certification exam. I hope in next minutes she will give the necessary information about herself. And also taking it an opportunity, I would like to introduce you our upcoming speakers and future sessions. So upcoming speakers include Amit Chandak and Anna Bardyuk, who will deliver valuable sessions for our community in the near future. So these are going to talk about, Microsoft Purview and also Microsoft Fabric this month. So before moving ahead, let's quickly review our meetup guidelines. Please keep your microphones muted during the presentation to avoid interruptions and background noise. So feel free to post your questions in the chat window during the session, and we will address them during the Q&A section at the end of the meetup. So please also note that today's session is being live streaming on YouTube. And you can also have a look. You have a chance to watch the recording process later. So thank you very much for your understanding and cooperation. And a little bit about today's session schedule. The first 5 minutes that I'm doing right now is all about introduction. Then Anna Leticia Sampaio will deliver the main presentation that is expected to last for 45 minutes. And then we'll have till 10 or 15 minutes Q&A session where attendees can ask questions and discuss the topic further. And thank you once again for joining today's meetup. And please stay connected with our Azerbaijan Data and AI Meetup community through our meetup page and social platforms. So if you would like to become a future speaker or collaborate with our community, please feel free to contact me directly. So thank you, everyone. And now I would like to hand over the session to Anna Leticia Sampaio. So Anna, stage is yours. I'm going to stop sharing, and you can start sharing your screen and go on. Here you are.
Okay, hi guys. Welcome for the ones that joined. if you want to put in the chat where you guys are from, because I know there are people out of Azerbaijan as well, so I would love to know. And also, if you want to put in the chat whether you work, what do you do with data, which technology you work with data, and oh, Austria, nice. And also, if you do any side project beside your 9 to 5 job, so if you're also freelancing, consulting, teaching like me, it's also interesting to know. So I prepared a presentation for today. Today's going to be a different topic because usually on the Power BI and Fabric group, we talk a lot about technical stuff. So today I'm going to come here to talk about something that it's not technical. So let me share my screen. 1 second. Where is my presentation? Yeah, can you see my screen? Well, if I share my screen, I cannot see the chat. Oh, Toronto, nice. So yeah, now I can see. So in case you have any questions, you can also put the questions on the chat if you don't want to speak on the microphone afterwards, but it's fine. I'll read the questions afterwards. Okay, so the topic of today is how to use AI to leverage your LinkedIn visibility as a data professional. So I'm going to talk a lot about personal branding, creating content for LinkedIn, and to find clients and sell your services on LinkedIn. And also how I've been using AI for that. Again, it's not going to be a very technical session, and I won't have time to go really much to details, but in the end, we can see if you have questions and more. If you want to further information, we can talk about it later as well. So as Igor already introduced me, again, just a bit of my journey. I don't come from the data world. Actually, my origin is I started working with political marketing, and I've been doing a lot of data analysis while I was working with elections. And then I slowly pivoted to data. So basically, my career in data was 100% self-taught and was taken by my curiosity and my passion for data. I'm Brazilian, originally Brazilian, but I've been living in Portugal for the last 8 years. So I'm currently a Power BI developer. I work as a head of BI for a Swiss consultancy company called Consultancy. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, and I founded a PL300 bootcamp to help people to clear the exam. And in this bootcamp, I already have more than 120 students. We are now going to run the 5th edition of the bootcamp in June, and it really started as a small WhatsApp group and evolved into something very big. So basically, I joke here that my LinkedIn love story is that you guys have no idea if you haven't been using LinkedIn properly yet. You have no ideas of the opportunities that LinkedIn can get you. Either if you are a freelancing consultant and even looking for a job or a better job, because it's a blue ocean. I would say 1% of people. Igor, can you let people in because I cannot see?
Yes. I'm taking care of. Okay, you go, please. Okay.
Right now, only 1% of people post on LinkedIn or active content creators on LinkedIn, right? And the amount of people you can reach with your content, it's crazy. It's insane. So actually, as I told you, I pivoted from elections and political marketing to data, and since the first job I get into data, I got it through LinkedIn. So my first data role landed through LinkedIn connections and networking with people and talking to people. And then I moved to a senior Power BI developer role, also that recruiters found me directly on LinkedIn. And then in the end, this job I'm currently at head of BI came because I received a DM from the CEO of the company. Said like, I really like your content on business intelligence and really like what you share about BI. So we have an open position here. Do you want to come work for us? So that was the importance of having LinkedIn on my career. So that's why it's more than just posting. If you are a data professional, you're really like excellent technically, but online you're invisible. And that's the biggest reality of data professionals, because they have so many things they can reach and so many people they can reach, so many new clients they can reach, and they just don't do it, either because they don't have time or they don't know how to do it, or they are very skilled technically but not skilled in the marketing part. So that's why I want to bring to you today. It's a bit of my marketing background mixed with my data background. So basically what happened is that after I had my second kid, I wanted to start doing something else because I needed more income. And of course, I had my job. I really liked my job, but I felt like I could do something else. And then I started this side project. And then the side project I started was my PL300 bootcamp, because as teacher and I taught Power BI as a freelancer, I wanted to do that. And it was a project because people were asking me for tips on passing the exam. And I realized that the most difficult thing was not the technical part. Like they didn't came to me for help on docs or on data modeling. They came for me to ask for help on how the hell do I pass the exam? Like how the hell do I study? How do I find time to study? I'm a very busy Power BI developer. I have kids, I have a life. How do I do it? So actually the bootcamp I created was not only the technical part, but also how to work with the questions, how to work your anxiety, how to find time to study. So it was a very different approach than what you see on normal courses. Like the normal courses, you just take a 3-4 day courses that give you all the technical stuff and that's it. So I really like take your hand and stay with you for 30 days and we really do the best to pass the exam. So for you guys, for you that you are thinking on, either you have already a project with Power BI or Fabric or in data in general, this extra project, or you're thinking on starting an extra project, I think it's really important that you just start. Of course, it's important to do your market research. What do you want to do? Which type of project you want to do? What type of market you want to serve? But just start with something really small and do it either for free or for a low cost in exchange of honest feedback. And that's how I started. So my first bootcamp was, I was in a WhatsApp group in Brazil. I'm sorry, the image is in Portuguese because the bootcamp is in Portuguese, but the image just says that it's a bootcamp with a 30-day challenge to pass the PL300. So that was the proposal. So I was in this WhatsApp group with more or less 600 people, and they were all, it was this open general group of passing PL300, right? PL300 preparation. So I've been giving lots of tips in there for the 3 to 4 months. And then I said and then I started doing my market research because then people started talking to me what they wanted to know about the exam, all those things I just told you, like how to deal with anxiety, with time constraints, how to deal with the difficulty of the questions, interpreting the questions and all this. So I took all of this, prepared my proposal, and I said, guys, I'm going to do this free bootcamp for 15 people. There was also no pressure, just let's do it. And it was a really success. And I think we had maybe half of it that took the exam and passed. 2 or 3 people didn't pass, but then some others didn't take the exam. And then I was like, okay, so my first bootcamp was a success. The second one, I can charge for that. So now I have a product to charge for. And how am I going to market this, right? And I've been doing all this work. I already told you guys that find jobs through LinkedIn and posting content and documenting my journey into data via LinkedIn. So I just pivoted my position on LinkedIn from finding a job and being available for recruiters to actually selling a service. In this case, I was selling a training. But maybe your case is selling freelance work or building Power BI reports or doing a BI project or building a database, a data warehouse, doing more data engineering projects. So whenever product we have, you can grow it and you can grow your market if you show up consistently and if you post about it on LinkedIn. So again, just to give you the results, I said in the beginning, I had more than 120 students so far, and I didn't spend €1 in ads. And no Google ads, no ads on any platform, only LinkedIn, and organic growth and with inbound leads. And inbound mean people DMing me because they wanted to know about my program. They wanted to know about my bootcamp. They want help to pass the PL 300. And that's the key insight. So first, if you don't have a product and you want to start a service or a product, just do like this MVP and offer it as a low cost or for free or whatever until you have feedback and social proof. And once you have this, then you just grow consistently in content creation. And content creation, it's going to be, I think, 80% on the work you're going to have to sell your services, regardless of the services you're selling with data. So basically, the three things I want to talk about today. Since I don't have no time, I'm going to talk about personal branding. So how to show up in a way that you attract the right clients. How to use AI to leverage this if you don't have time, because just like me, I had a full-time job, I have 2 kids. I don't have this 5 to 9 that people say, and I'll have like 30 minutes a day, maybe 1 hour a day to work on my side project, and not only the marketing but delivering the project once I have a client and do all the customer experience that the client is satisfied and the client wants to work with me again, right? So this always tucked into maybe half an hour, 1 hour per day, maybe 2 hours if I'm really lucky and if I don't have my kids around. And also I'm going to show you what has worked and what hasn't worked. I have half an hour to do that, so I'm trying to go quickly. My dog on the background. So when I was watching YouTube videos and I was watching content on internet, I always saw those like productivity gurus and say like, if you have a 9 to 5 job, that's fine. It's not your 9 to 5 job that's going to stop you from doing your side project. It's actually the 5 to 9 that matters. And then I just beg your pardon, but I thought this was so much bullshit because I didn't have a 5 to 9. So before work, I had my kids. I was a mother of 2 kids. And I had a baby. Was waking up at 3 at night. I was super tired. I wanted to be in bed as much as I could. And then after working, there was no 5 a.m. There's no 5 a.m. nor 5 p.m. productivity hack because I had to take care of my kids after I got from work. So I think that a lot of advice you see in the internet, it works well if you have time. But if you are a senior professional, for example, I'm BI lead, I have to manage projects and take care of my house, it's really hard. It's much harder to work, right? So just before we start talking about AI, I just want to talk about some principles that are really, really much important than AI. If you don't have this, then you're not going to, you can have the systems you have, you can pay whatever AI you pay to use, whatever tokens you have, it's not going to work. Okay, so those 3 principles that you have to embrace when you're starting a side project and you're building your personal brand is that, first of all, you have the expertise. You already have enough to sell yourself. You just have to organize this expertise. You don't need to have a marketing background. You don't need to hire someone with a marketing background. Luckily, I had this marketing background because I used to work with elections, but it's not the case of everyone. And maybe it's going to be more time to figure out some things like copywriting or designing, and that's okay. But don't let this be a fear. Like, don't fear that. You definitely don't need to be a marketing expert to sell yourself and build your personal brand. That's the first principle. And the second principle is that you have to organize yourself. That's the first skill you have to have. So again, in my case, I had to make time and I have to create energy because maybe I had the time, but I didn't have the energy. I just worked the whole day. I just put my kids to bed. I'm going to sit in the computer at 9 a.m. to create a post on LinkedIn. I have no creativity anymore, right? So if you are, there are lots of techniques. I'm not going to go into this today because it's not the focus. But if you're able to organize yourself, make time, and find mechanisms to find this energy you need to work on your side project, then you're going to have a real competitive advantage. And the third thing is to accept the imbalance, which means that you also see a lot of gurus on the internet saying that yeah, you're gonna have like a perfect work-life balance. You're gonna, free yourself from this 9 to 5 job and work from wherever you want, from the beach, whatever. But you have to accept it. It's, if you're doing it in the beginning, or if you're already into the motions of your side project, either teaching, consulting, freelancing, whatever, there's gonna be a while that you're gonna be imbalanced. So you're going to refrain from going out on a Friday evening with your friends. Maybe you're going to refrain with maybe being with your kid for some time, or going out with your husband for dinner, etc. Because you have to put your energy and your effort, whatever you need for, to launch or to keep working on your side project, on your data project. So you will have an imbalanced life for some time, and that's okay. You have to accept it, and you have to keep going, and you have to find pleasure in it. Because if you don't find pleasure and you find yourself complaining about it all the time, then it's not something for you. Entrepreneurship and data is not something for you. So in the beginning, I was really frustrated because I told you I had really little time. So when I sit, I don't know if you guys have the same feeling, but every time I sat to write a post on LinkedIn, it took me 45 minutes to write a post. A normal single post. I'm not talking about images, etc. And I also had a LinkedIn newsletter. So whenever I was writing this LinkedIn newsletter, it took me at least 1 hour to write a newsletter edition. And then I was like, okay, let's try to work with AI. And then last year I went fully and I said, let's try to train ChatGPT to sound like me. And it took me even more time to do that. And then in the end, I just didn't like the output. And whenever I went to LinkedIn, I was scrolling past all this content that I hated. It's like all this posts with excessive emojis. It's not Y, it's not X, it's Y structure. Uh, Words that people don't use in their daily life, and I'm someone who like to write. So I felt so frustrated because I have this exhaustion loop from being exhausted from work. And then I felt guilty because I sat and I couldn't finish my LinkedIn post. And that's a frustration that maybe some of you recognize or maybe not, but there is a solution for that. It's not a quick solution, but I just decided from that day on, okay, we have AI right now, so we have to take advantage of the AI to do that. So I'm gonna find a way to do that, and it's not gonna take me 45 minutes to write a single LinkedIn post anymore. So fast forward 1 year. Okay, so I started doing this exactly this time of the year, like April 25. So I'm the same person. I have exactly the same time constraints. I have exactly the same I have still the 2 kids to take care, my job, everything. But now I have a completely different output because I was able to create a system with AI. So right now, all the posts I write on LinkedIn, it takes me between 5 to 15 minutes. The writing posts. This infographic, which is also in Portuguese because it was from my bootcamp, and this infographic talks about the functions you need to know, the docs functions you need to know for the PL300. So it took me 25 minutes to create only, from conception to creating the image to organizing everything and then posting. It used to take me like 2 hours to create an infographic before my system. And also, one of my posts got 115K impressions. And this post was literally 100% AI written in my voice. And it was my highest performance post. So the goal here is just to amplify who you are, so AI sounds like you. So just you guys to have an idea, this is the picture of the post I was talking about that gave me more than 115K. It's a really simple picture. It was a picture with me with messy hair, no makeup, in the elevator, with my with the my scorecard from the DP 900 when I did a DP 900. And again, and that's what I want to tell you, like if you want to create content and if you want to build your personal brand, and especially now that you have AI, you have to bear in mind that people want to connect with people, and that's why it's super important to build your personal brand like you, like with the things you like, with the things you don't like, and the genuine you. So for you to have an idea. So the caption of this post, the storytelling of this post was that I was a senior Power BI developer, and I was the go-to person in my company for Power BI. So everyone who needed help with Power BI, I was the person, right? And I have been working as a Power BI developer for 5 years, and I didn't take the PL 300 exam, and I was procrastinating each year to take the exam because I was feeling vulnerable. I didn't want to fail and then admitted that because I was the go-to person. I didn't have time to study. I didn't have time to. So I was just talking about my struggles as a person. I was not saying anything technical in this post. And that's why it doesn't need to be something elaborate. It doesn't need to be perfect lighting, Photoshop photo. It just needs to be your story, told honestly. Because if you can show yourself, if you can show your vulnerabilities, and if you can show that you are the same person that is connecting to you on the other side of the screen, then that's what the LinkedIn algorithm will reward most than the AI blog posts, right? Okay, so let's go now to the second part. So I talked a bit about personal branding, some concepts of personal branding, and now about the systems. And now I'm going to quote again the productivity gurus, because sometimes you go to YouTube and you have those videos like set systems, not goals, and things like that. And I never understood that. I always thought it was, again, bullshit. But then when I started working on my system and I said, damn, this really works. I can really have like full-time job, kids, and write a LinkedIn post in 5 minutes that is going to give me more than 100K impressions and students for my bootcamp, which is the most important thing. So you have to get clients from your content. So my system is basically to build a second brain with AI. I don't know if you heard the term of second brain. There's a book, I also put it here on my slide. I really recommend this book. It's called Building Second Brain by Tiago Forte. And he talks a lot about PKM, which is personal knowledge management, if you haven't heard about this term yet. And I really recommend this book. And this book was also a foundation for me to build my own second brain. So it's a place where you store your ideas, your story, your expertise, your preferences, basically everything that's going to be your on your mind. And the powerful with this, with AI, is that you actually can use AI to activate exactly what you need to activate when you sit down to create your content. So again, that's the pillars of my second brain, because you guys work with data, so you already probably heard the expression garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you feed AI with bad data, you're gonna have bad output on your AI. And also with our data projects, right? If we have a bad semantic model, our relationships are gonna break, and we're gonna have ambiguity in our Power BI dashboards. And the same is for content creation and for personal branding. So we have to have this principle of garbage in, garbage out. So AI is not going to sound like you if you don't give her good data, if you don't give her if you don't give it quality data. It's just going to sound like all the posts we see on LinkedIn, right? So I have my pillars to build my second brain, and that's where the magic happens. And I'm going to show you a bit how I do it. So the first pillar is the me. So the me file, so the about me document and the story vault. So basically you have this about me document. And this, I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about any specific AI. I'm going to talk a bit about Claude, but because it's the one I use, but you can do this with any AI you want. And that's also really good because you don't get close to your dependence to your AI provider, to one of the big companies. So the idea is to create your own universe. So, and something that you don't even need to share everything with AI if you don't want to, is create your own universe of ideas, and you keep that for you. And then when you need it, you just use it to boost your content creation on LinkedIn, or even to create services for your product, for your clients, to create classes for my students. So everything I did it in my second brain. So the first pillar, again, it's these about me documents. So this is a document where what I want AI to know about me. It's a general document. Is my background, my family, my work history, my communication style, what I don't like, what I don't want to, all the boundaries I want to have, my values, even my health finances, because it's not only covering something for content creation, right? It's covering everything I want to do with AI. I use this about me document, and this is for me is the foundation. And this is one of the first documents I have to do to make AI sound like you. And then the second document I have, which is a vault, it's personal stories. So I have personal stories from different life stages since I was, 3 years old, 15 years old, and my first job. And it's the biggest things that happened in my life. And it doesn't took me a lot of time to do this because I've been doing this with voice notes. So I don't know if you've heard of Whisperflow. It's an amazing app. So I have a dog and I have to walk my dog every morning. So every morning I go walk for my dog, I open the Whisperflow, and then I capture something I want to capture. So I would say that 90% of my story vault was created while I was walking my dog in the morning. And then you just let AI transcribe for you and organize your own notes. It's really nice. And then also you're not obsessively wasting time. You just go for a walk. And actually, if you go for a walk, it's where your ideas flows the best. So just capture everything in the morning, for example. Then I have the pillar 2, is the technical vault. So that's my professional expertise. So the first one is more personal, and the second one is the expertise. Is what do I know? Which sources? For example, Power BI, like the Marco Russo book about DAX that I've read before. All the Microsoft Learn documents I needed to build my course, documentation from Fabric and things like that. You just have this technical vault where you put your professional expertise, and it's not only about the books and the documentation, but also cases. So you also document, for example, if there's something happened at work, so how you bring down the refresh performance from 30 minutes to 5 minutes, for example, and then you can have the documentation on this. So why am I here? I put the example of the DAX infographic. So again, I'm going to show you the DAX infographic. It's all the DAX measures that go in the PL300. So basically how I built it, I had in my technical vault, I have all the outlines from the DAX chapter that discovered by the exam, by Microsoft exam. And then I just ask AI, I said, look, I want to create an infographic about DAX measures. So can you just go to my technical vault and retrieve just the chapters about what the PL300 asks for DAX? And that's the technical vault, right? And as I said, again, you have to tell your story. You have to put your personal touch. So I then went to my first pillar vault, which is my personal vault. And I said, let's fetch a personal story that could be related with DAX, right? And then the post, the text of the post was something like, I didn't take the PL, or I was procrastinating the PL 300 for 2 years because I was scared that I didn't know DAX well enough, because I thought I had to be Marco Russo to do the exam and have the same knowledge as him to do the exam, right? And I was just telling the story about this, and then how did I do? And then you give a lesson. So I also gave a lesson because that's what you do as a teacher. So I gave a lesson as a framework. I tell my students how to study DAX for the PL 300. It's exactly the step-by-step I did. And I'm going to tell you guys, this infographic gave me more than 10,000 impressions and DMs from people saying, I want to do your bootcamp because I really struggle with DAX, and then I have to study this for the PL 300 and I don't know where to start. Just for you guys to have an idea of the outcomes of your second brain, right? So that's why it's not only the technical vault, but you also put together your storytelling layer and turn this into expertise. And then the third vault I have, the third pillar. I think there's someone in the waiting room, Ilgar. And the third pillar is what I call the ingredients vault. So it's everything that it's my capture internally. So all the LinkedIn posts I've written, all newsletters I've written. For example, Zoom calls, Teams calls with clients. Of course, that you need permission to transcribe the call. But for example, if you transcribe your calls, if you're doing BI projects and you transcribe your calls from your business requirements, meetings, for example, and then you have this all there, and then you ask AI, can you fetch patterns from pain points for my clients, because they all have similarity on their pain points. And then the AI is going to analyze all your transcriptions from your calls, and you're going to say, yeah, well, seeing that, I can see the pattern that almost in almost every call, almost every CEO has the problem that they need to wait 1 month to get their data, because they don't have a Power BI dashboard. They only have Excel reports scattered all over. So they have, I don't know, you're talking about the CEO of a national company that has to wait 1 month to have everything together. That's really gold, because maybe you wouldn't have time to analyze those, whatever, how many Teams calls you did with clients, and now you see patterns on your pain points. Then you can use those pain points to actually create messages and create content on LinkedIn exactly on what do your clients need. And then if you touch on the pain points, they're going to pay attention to your posts, and then you're going to become more visible and more industry leader on your service, on your field. So that's why. So your existing content, client call transcriptions, brand preferences. So for example, I have this document on my ingredients vault, in which I tell exactly what I don't like to write. I don't like emojis. I don't like to this. I don't use those words. I hate when people do this. I hate when people create posts saying these things and these things. It doesn't sound like me. So I also have these preferences in there. Yeah, those are the main pillars. Of course, I have other things like books I read and my whole life in here. But for content creation and for personal branding on LinkedIn, I think this is the main vault you would have to have. Okay, so how do I store this? I don't know if you guys heard of Obsidian, but I use Obsidian to do that. I actually started using Obsidian before using AI, because I wanted to have a place to put notes on the books I've written, I've read. And Obsidian is cool because it's basically a vault on your computer. You store everything in your computer with plain Markdown files, and Markdown files, MD files, is every computer can read it, and you can just transfer everywhere. It's really easy to read. You don't lock in any vendor. So for example, you can say, okay, I can have all my life in Notion and all my life in Google Drive, but still you're using a service on the cloud of the provider, right? So you don't actually own your own notes, because it's on the cloud of a provider. So imagine you have a change in subscription, a change in the policy update, etc. You want to take things out from there, for example. And with Obsidian, you basically have everything in your computer. And the other thing that is really powerful of Obsidian is that, the Wikipedia pages that you have the hyperlinks, and then you click on hyperlinks and it takes you to another page. You can do exactly like this with your notes or all your files you have. And you can see here in this illustration, and it looks like this. So for example, let's say you can connect all your technical notes. For example, if you're studying about fabric, or talk about fabric, working with fabric, you can have them everything related. So let's say you want to create a content about one lake or direct lake connectivity mode. You can just see whatever is linked and create content about this, for example. So it's really nice. It literally looks like your brain with all the brain connections on Obsidian. However, as I said, and it's also stored on your computer, because I was using ChatGPT last year, and something that really made me nervous about ChatGPT is that ChatGPT remembered all the context of everything I did. So sometimes I was doing something and he said, yeah, but this thing that you told me like 2 months ago, that has no relevance at all. But with Obsidian, I'm not dependent on any AI. I just have everything on my computer, and I give exactly what I need when I'm doing something with AI. So I'm going to give you again the example of the infographic. So let's go back to the infographic. So I use Claude to help me write the boxes of the infographic. So basically, I told Claude, like, go to my Obsidian and go to my technical vault, take everything that is docs related that is covered in the exam, and do me an outline of different areas, different categories of docs measures, and how should I display them on my infographic and a text with it. And then it gave me. So I fed Cloud Code because of that. And basically, I did the infographic on Canva. I designed the background myself, and I used Gamma to create the little boxes, the little colorful boxes you can see. So then I spread the little boxes, but I didn't have this docs here, this DAX you see. So I went to Nano Banana and Gemini, and I created a prompt to create this image for me. So I used different AIs, and I didn't need to load everything on one AI. Everything was with me on my computer, on my personal vault, on my second brain, and I fed exactly only what I need to the AI I needed. The only downside of Obsidian is that still it's in your computer. So if you lose your stuff, you lose your files. So I would also advise you to have like a private GitHub repository where you can just commit and push everything, and you can also version control, because especially if you're using Cloud Code and it changes your files, you don't risk losing anything from your second brain. So just to conclude, because I don't have a lot of time. So how do I work with AI nowadays? I have this different tree layers, what I call tree layers. I have the inner layer, which is this vault I told you with notes and the files and the knowledge that I've been feeding little by little on my free time. So I didn't burden myself with that. Again, I was really doing while I was walking with my dog, or was, instead of scrolling, doom scrolling Instagram or something, I was just building my second brain. However, I realized that having everything in my Obsidian, everything in my second brain, and just asking Claude or whatever AI you use to read it, it was too expensive, right? Because you just say, okay, go to my Obsidian, go to my second brain, and just see everything. And it also, it burns a lot of tokens. So the second layer I built, it's called a map of contents. So basically, you have a summary of your map of content of your vault. And then you ask, and then you just give AI first to look through the map of contents, see exactly the contents you need, and then fetch that. So again, let me give you the example of, I don't know, the PL300. I just told, okay, this is the client. No, let me give you the example. I just told you the BI clients with the transcription of the meetings. So you're not going to feed and ask Claude to read 50 meetings and transcription notes. That's going to burn a lot of tokens, right? So you can just ask Claude to say, go to my map of content, see the summary of the 50 meetings ahead. Can you see if there's something relevant on those 50 meetings? Okay, meeting 2 and 3, you have something relevant to the topic you want to talk about on your newsletter. And then he's going to fetch only 2 and 3, then read the whole transcription, and then give you the output you want. So it's really important to have this second layer, which is the map of content. And then the final layer is the AI tool. So I said you focus on the output. So you're not locked in with AI. You can use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever. And then you use your first layer, your second brain, and your map of content to feed it and to do that. So, but probably you're going to ask me now, okay, I don't have time to do all of this on top of working, on top of creating content, on top of doing marketing, and on top of delivering the service to my clients, right? Either my classes, my boot camps, my consulting services, etc. So you have to remember what I told you guys there in the beginning. The first skill you're gonna have before even have the AI skill is to have the skill to organize yourself. And so I put here, I was going to put the image of my dog, but I couldn't find it, a recent one. So check all the dead times you guys have. That's a challenge I made for you. That's a homework. all the dead times you have. Let's say, again, I have my dog and I'm walking with my dog every day. So I have maybe 15, 20 minutes in the morning. Okay, so I'm going to prompt a chat on AI to create a vault about something, or to do daily notes about my day, about what I have to do, about projects. You choose, whatever, but use this time for that. And then another example, I said I have a baby, and there was a period that I was sleep training my baby. So I just left him in this room and at night, went to the room next door, and I was waiting a bit for him to sleep by himself. I went there sometimes. So I was literally creating a LinkedIn post while I was doing that. So again, I was in the other room and I had to wait 5 minutes. So I went to I opened my Claude and I said, look, I want to create a post about this and this and this and this and that. Give me the draft, check if there's any story I can talk about, and check my contents about that. So I did this whole process while I was waiting my kid to fall asleep in the room next door. So identify what are the dead times you guys had. Take your phone and see your screen time and see how much you've been scrolling on social media, and try to replace that. Even counts scrolling on LinkedIn feed. And try to replace this time, the screen time, with building your second brain. And you're going to see that it has a compounding effect, right? So I didn't build this in one day. I built this in 1 year, but that didn't stop me to post on LinkedIn. So it was not something that first you're going to build the whole second brain and then you're going to post on LinkedIn. No, you're going to do this in parallel, and it's going to compound. Okay, so I say always a parallel that is like going to the gym, right? So the first time you go to the gym, you're not going to lift the 50 kilo weight. You're going to start at 5 kilo, and then next day 5 kilo, next day 5 kilo, then third day 10 kilo maybe. So the same thing is the muscles, right? So you're training your AI, you're building your second brain, so you're training your muscle on the gym, and it's something that really compounds. So every story you add, every note you add, every capture you add from your client that you think it's relevant for other clients, every post you write is going to be faster and faster and faster and faster. I just remember what I said. It took me in the beginning 45 minutes to write a LinkedIn post. Nowadays, it takes me between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on the complexity of the post, right? So you have to do both at the same time, and it's going to compound. And then you're going to do things faster, and the output of the AI is going to be much better. I have to finish because we don't have enough time for today, right? I didn't cover everything I had to cover because it's such an extensive topic: personal branding, AI, second brain. So these are some of the things that we could cover, but we didn't cover. For example, about prompt engineering, using skills for content creation, for copywriting on LinkedIn. It's a very interesting thing that you have to work on it as well. Workflows for doing your own designs, your carousels, your infographics, just like I showed you in the beginning, also going to take like 2 hours. But then the more you feed your second brain into your workflows, even an infographic, nice one, is going to be something that you can do fast. And then like LinkedIn Lives, editing the videos you use for LinkedIn Lives or YouTube, so you can repurpose your content and use this for newsletters and etc. And and how to create workflows with Cloud Code. So this is something that will be a bit more advanced once you started. So I said maybe we can do another session or something like that in the future, but that's the start. So that's it. So if you want to keep talking about this topic, or if you want help with personal branding or using AI to post content, create content on LinkedIn, you can add me on LinkedIn. I'm going also to add the link of my profile on the chat. And also, as I said, this is kind of a new topic for me because I have been working this myself for the past year. And I'm currently doing the same with 4 former students of the PL300. So once they got certified, they also felt the need to be freelancers, consultants, and wanted to sell their own services, right? So I'm helping them with that. And that's why I'm thinking also about creating more content about that and doing a newsletter only about that. So if you're interested in this topic, we can also I can also add you guys on the newsletter when I create it. So it's also nice if you guys give me a feedback, because it's a rather new topic for myself to publicly not been working with this again for the past year, but it's the first time I'm talking about this with other people apart from my students. So I'm also still building stuff. So thank you very much. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Thank you,
Um,
Anna. Really, I myself personally found it very useful, specifically something new I learned related to Obsidian. I hope there are also some people um, that for the first time heard about Obsidian. So, if I'm not mistaken, I have counted 7 or 8 questions. So, if you don't mind, we can start with
mhm.
these questions. First of all, a recording will be available on my YouTube channel. I have shared this, the link for YouTube channel where you can watch recording. And the first question is like, what metrics should professionals track to evaluate LinkedIn visibility growth?
Yeah,
Sergio Quintana answered, but would be great to hear your answer also. Hear you.
yeah, I think, well, there are two different things here. Here you have visibility, and then you have clients, right? And maybe that's what I always say. Maybe you have tons of followers, you have tons of impressions, but you don't have clients, and that's not what you want. When you want to make money with LinkedIn, like I did. So I say the metrics I would evaluate most is not followers nor impressions nor likes, is actually reposting. So if people repost your content or they comment relevant things, and if they save your content as well. For example, that infographic I showed you, the docs infographic, I had almost 200 saves. And for me, that was amazing because it was the first time I had 200 saves and the DMs. So if people start engaging with you after you post the content, maybe you don't have really a lot of engagement and you have maybe 10, 20 likes, but you have DMs about this content, and that's a good metric for me.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, what risks can arise from overusing AI-generated LinkedIn content?
Uh,
Is there any
you mean
risk?
for LinkedIn of banning you and this kind of risks? I think.
Maybe
Uh,
banning or
mhm. Yeah. Well, I would say that uh, I don't see a risk if you were, because the thing is that LinkedIn has this new algorithm called 360 Brew. I don't know if you guys talked about it. And this new algorithm basically sees your whole profile and see if things connect. And if things connect, it pushes your content towards other people, towards your connections, and the connections see your connections, etc. So, for example, if in your headline you say Databricks, Fabric, etc., but you post content about yoga, LinkedIn is not going to push your content, right? So the risk of using AI generating content, it's more on these um, slops or this structure that is typically AI. For example, if you use lots of emojis, or if you write something that it doesn't make sense, like, and it doesn't have any opinion. So I think there is no risk in using AI generated content as long as you you position yourself as a leader in your brand and you give your opinions, and that's it. So if you create content that is AI generated but it doesn't add any value, then your content is not going to get pushed, and that's the risk, right? It's using as a generic content and not as your own opinion on point of view or something.
yeah. Thank you. And Aurora is asking, is the language in which you post important?
Yes, but this will depend on your ICP. So your ICP is your ideal client persona. So basically your market, right? So for example, when I was doing the boot camps for the Brazilian market, I was posting in Portuguese, and I realized that got a lot of traction because I was working with the Brazilian market, right? Now when I do post about industry, Power BI, or a conference I went to, I do it in English because a lot of my audience is in English as well. But those are not my clients, right? So it depends really on your situation, but focus on your clients. So if you are focused on, I don't know where Aurora you're from, But let's say you're focused on Toronto, Canada. Okay. So if let's say you're focused on the French market, on Quebec. So it's important to post in French. If you're focused on Toronto, it's English speaking, then it's important to post in English. It's not about the post itself, it's about your client. Who's your client?
Interesting. And what types of LinkedIn content work well for Power BI or data professionals? For
Um,
example,
yeah,
poll quiz questions or visuals or just text, only text posts. So which one?
I think now what is performing the best are infographics and carousels. And I say
Okay.
about infographics because infographics is what people save. And it was just what I talked about in the other question. Like when you save, then it's a good metric. So if you have 200 people saving your post, it's more important than having maybe 300 likes, right? So I would say infographics, carousels, and that's it. Some may say the video is also performing well, but if you're not comfortable doing videos, I would say don't force it as well, because you have to be on your creative mind to do content online as well.
Okay. Next question. And is there any strategy you follow, like how many posts a week, timing, or the day where people are active? It's a
Uh,
really good question.
Timing, I don't do it anymore. I used to do it, but I don't think that is relevant. But posts per week, I try to post 3 times, but I think the most important is to be consistent. Like if you, let's say, you post 3 times a week, 3 times one other week, 3 times another week, and then you just don't do anything for 2 weeks, then your algorithm is gonna flunk. So that's why, remember the first principle I said in the presentation. uh, the best skill you're gonna have to create a side project and create content is to organize yourself and adapt your routine. So if your routine allows you to do 1 post per week, do 1 post per week. If your routine allows you to do 2 posts per week, do 2 posts per week, but do it. So do not commit to post every day. It's nice to post every day. So I think I try to post 3 times per week because this is what I can accommodate on my personal routine and my calendar, and I think it's good. But you don't need to post every day. So that's the strategy. Like I try to post 3 times per week. Timing is not really relevant. In terms of strategy, what I found relevant is engaging in the platform before and after you post. So what I do usually is I started commenting. A comment is really important because commenting pushes also your profile to different people. So and the platform sees that you're active and also pushes your content. So what I do is like a comment, let's say 10 minutes before I post. I comment two, three. I don't doesn't need to be something elaborate. Like just comment with my opinion on posts, and then I post, and then I comment afterwards on other posts. So I do 10 more minutes or 5 more minutes of commenting on my feed. And I realize that this also pushes a lot of traction when you're creating content and answering people straight away. So if they comment in your post, try to answer them as fast as possible because this also pushes your post more to the feed. So those are the strategies I've been doing that I know that has been doing well for myself.
Next good question is coming from Aurora, who says that my background is in software development and I like to do both data analytics and software development. Do I have to choose one over the other in my posts?
I don't know if you know about the book called The One Thing. It's one of my favorite books. And this book always says that the main concept of this book is that you cannot or you shouldn't do 2 things at the same time because you're not going to do them well. So if you focus your energy on one thing, this is going to compound a lot. So the more narrow also depends on what's your strategy with LinkedIn. If it's clients, if it's job, recruiters, etc. So, for example, if you want to work with data, you just go and focus and post about data. If you want to keep in software development, you just post on software development. If you want to do a pivot and transition, like I did, you can start documenting your journey with data, but don't go back. and that's actually what I have been doing. So I have been doing my PL 300 boot camps. Probably in June, it's going to be the last one because I don't have time to do two things. And I would like to do more about content creation and using AI and building a second brain for data professionals and helping data professionals get clients with their content. So if I do that on LinkedIn, the algorithm is going to get very confused and it's also going to flunk. So I would just say to choose one thing and do total power, total energy on it, and it's going to work quite well.
Fair enough. A lot of good comments from Thais, from
Yeah,
Jeet. I
obsidian
hope
is
I
brilliant.
pronounced, yeah, from Casper, Himal, and others. Thank you, everyone. And last but not least, question one is asking, I mean, Jeet, if I'm not mistaken, yes, it's possible to share this presentation with us. If it's
Yeah,
possible in
sure.
PDF format, you can send me and I will share with it with other people. So what's your
Yeah.
answer? Is it shareable or
Yeah, yeah,
not?
yeah. Yeah, I can try.
Okay,
I'll
great.
send it to you.
So,
Yeah, that's it.
okay.
So let me just add here my LinkedIn profile so you can
Would be
guys
great,
also
yes.
connect with me here. Oh, we are 1 minute, 1 minute
No, no,
extra
no, that's okay. Yeah.
with good timing. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I also shared on, say, YouTube. So, in my turn, I would like to thank you, Anna. Thank you for your time, for wonderful presentation. I wish you all the best, and I hope it will be very useful when I'm just going to also make the necessary post. But this time, I will consider all the points that you have shared today. So that's it.
Especially being
So,
MVPs, I know the MVPs need to create a lot of content to renew their MVPs. So
yeah,
we have to teach
yeah,
MVPs how to build their second brain.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.